Welcome to Hard Talk. I'm Stephen Sacker. From fistfights in Parliament to dodgy elections and the imprisonment of the country's main opposition leader, politics in Ukraine is a brutal business. So it is perhaps fitting that my guest today, the rising star of the Ukrainian opposition, just happens to be the world heavyweight boxing champion, Vitaly Klitschko. He's tough, wealthy, and ambitious. But does he have what it takes to win in Ukraine's turbulent political arena? Vitaly Klitschko, welcome to Hard Talk.
Good afternoon.
Let's start with the boxing. You are the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, but you haven't fought for 6 months. Are you going to retire?
Decision about retirement or not, I take a little bit later, and give the information for whole boxing fans.
Yeah, well,
not today.
Boxing fans do want to know. They want to know, for example, whether you've got any plan for another fight, because there comes a point when you are a reigning champion and you simply don't fight that you're no longer credible.
I have fight every day in Ukraine, in politics. This fight much tougher than fighting in sport.
So why not just say to your fans, that's it, guys, I'm done with boxing, it's a new chapter in my life, politics is my future?
It's very important to make right point in any profession, and I do that a little bit later.
You see, there are people inside boxing who believe that you do not want to take on your fiercest rivals, and I'm particularly thinking perhaps of the British boxer David Haye, who says that he believes he can beat you, but you won't give him the chance. Are you prepared to at least consider a fight with David Haye?
He had a chance to fight me, but he canceled the fight, and right now he can think about somebody else, not about me.
Yeah, he doesn't see it quite like that. He doesn't believe that he cancelled the fight. He believes you didn't really want it. He said recently, the trouble is I'm too fast, too talented, and too sexy to be blown away by a large, slow robot from Ukraine. That was you.
I listened these words many times from many boxers, but it's just talking. And I ready for fighting, not for talking. David Haye have a chance to fight me. He have a chance to fight. They have a chance to fight my brother, but he don't use the chance and still talking.
Sounds like you don't have much respect for David Haye.
David Haye is the best in the world by talking.
The best in the world by talking. I mean, you can say that. You're not somebody who indulges in what in boxing most people call trash talk. You don't really do that. But some of the critics, I was just looking at boxingnews.com, the website recently, some say the problem is you're too boring. You're too boring for the good of boxing. You may be a technician, you may be one of the great boxers of your era, but you haven't actually been good for the sport.
I do my job very well. I still world champion pretty long time, and I know I'm the best in the world. But David Haye can just talk about that. Let's talk about serious stuff.
Well, we're going to talk plenty about politics, but there are a lot of boxing fans around the world. Hard Talk doesn't often have a world heavyweight champion in the studio, so I've got a couple more questions for you on the boxing. One is from a layman like me who doesn't watch too much boxing. The one fight in the world that everyone would pay to see would be you fighting your brother, who is also a world heavyweight champion on the WBA, WBO rules. Why don't you fight him?
I like my brother very much. Family is most important point in my life. I love my brother so much, and as small boy, my parents tell me, please care about your young brother. I bring him to the boxing section, and we have a dream together to be one day world champion, to be one day Olympic gold medalist, and always we make our dream true. And
you used to beat him up, though. When he was young, you were 5 years older. He says you used to beat him up, but he says then the older we got, the more sensitive we became to one another. He said we have sparred with each other, and that, he said, was very bloody. It was not cool. Did you see it like that?
No. We sparred with each other many years ago. It was almost 20 years ago. But after that,
and did you hurt each other?
Yes, always. If we spar with each other, we have this, trouble, we have injuries, and that's why I think it's a sign from the God, never fight each other, because we have the same blood, we love each other very much, and as my brother is the closest person in the world for me, and I don't want to fight my brother from this point. And another point, is too dangerous. He's strong. He is really strong, and main point.
Yeah, but
we don't want to break
Iron Fist.
We don't want to break heart of our mother, because our mother don't want to see this fight.
That's pretty clear that that fight is never going to happen. It's not clear whether you're retiring, because you won't tell me, but clearly there are pressures in your life. You said, let's talk about the serious stuff, by which I think you meant politics. But it is very odd, is it not, to be selling yourself as the leader of an opposition movement in Ukraine when for a large part of your time you're not even living in the country, you're training and working in Germany, and when a lot of your mind is still on boxing, not on politics.
Last 6 years I live in Ukraine. It's true. I spend a lot of time outside of Ukraine.
You spend an awful lot of time in Germany.
I live in Germany almost 13 years.
You're training in gymnasiums far from Ukraine. You're fighting in arenas far from Ukraine.
I have a chance to fight twice a year, one time a year, defend my title, and the rest of time I spent in Ukraine, because it's very important to do it things by yourself. But in politics, it's very important team. It's always in sport also. Many things depend of you, but many things depend of your team. If you want to be the best, work with the best. In sport, you need the best trainer, you need the best promoter, you need the best manager, and you will be automatically the best. Exactly the same
in politics.
In politics.
Well, you're not the best. Forgive me for interrupting, but you are not the best in politics. You ran for mayor of Kiev twice, and you lost twice. You tell me how many times you've won in boxing. Frankly, your record as a politician is that of a loser.
I don't want to be the best in politics. I want to make changes in my country.
But what I'm getting at is that you come from a sport, boxing, which is a lonely sport, and you put yourself on the line. And I dare say you have to have a lot of self-confidence, maybe a lot of ego to be a successful boxer. In politics, you face a question because you have an opposition party. You have 50 seats, I believe, in the Ukrainian parliament. But you're
42.
42. But you're not the biggest party, and in fact, the main opposition leader in Ukraine right now is in prison, Yulia Tymoshenko. Why don't you heed her call for all of the opposition parties to form one united front? Why won't you do that?
Because it's very important to unite it, and we have different party, we have different ideology, we have a different election field, and
but isn't it your duty right now to fight for her?
And we united in parliament, all opposition party, and we coordinate our activity. It's very successful.
But let's be clear about Yulia Tymoshenko. It is possible over the next few days and weeks she may face new charges of murder to go with the current sentence she already has of 7 years for abuse of power. Is your message to the Ukrainian people and to the president that she must be freed and all charges dropped?
It's, we know behind this process against Tymoshenko, it's political ground. It's political motivate, and every politician have to be responsible for his political activity, not in the prison.
But why aren't you doing more then? Because it strikes me that, you know, what is it, just 8 years ago, we saw the Orange Revolution. We saw the country's politicians rise up with the people to demand change. But you, your party, and the other opposition groups have not put people out on the streets to try to get this government to release Tymoshenko, to try to get the government to recognize that the last elections were rigged, were fraudulent. You haven't put people on the streets. Why?
We try to delay these problems in Ukraine. We make official announcement to President of Ukraine. We explain our vision, and you ask to bring the people out on the street. The people not ready to go to in the street.
Why?
right now. But right
Why?
now the temperature in. Not everybody support the activity what did Tymoshenko as she was the prime minister, but everybody understand this process political motivate.
Are you ready to say the time has come to confront President Yanukovych and his ruling party by all means possible? Short of, obviously, short of violence, but by getting demonstrators out onto the streets?
We're ready to do that. And more and more people every day support us as opposition, and we're ready to do that, but it's very big responsibility. We understand. Right now, it's many politicians try to split Ukraine with the language
the culture, the languages,
the religion, and many points. And Ukraine right now, it's independent country, first time in the history, and we're just 20 years old. It's very important. Don't bring instability inside the country. It will be.
But the country, if I may say so, Mr. Klitschko, the country does look unstable from the outside. It is very interesting to see the split over Ukraine's future strategic direction. It seems there are some in the country who believe that the destiny of your country is to be close, very close, to Moscow, both economically and politically. Others who look towards the European Union. Now you are interesting because your first language was Russian. Your father was a military officer with the Soviet Union, and yet you seem to see the future in Europe. Why?
It's not the question which language you talk. It's very important which vision I have. And 2.5 years ago, we all together with people, young people who have exactly the same vision, we build a party. Today, our party is the third biggest party in Ukraine. We have big support.
Yeah, but the biggest party is Mr. Yanukovych is, and his vision is to look much more toward Moscow, to the east, not to the west.
He declared European integration, but between the declaration and implementation in our government is a huge distance. We see European future for our country, and because we European, we Ukrainian European geographically, we European with our history, with our mentality, with our culture, we European, but we're far away from life standards.
Yeah, you're not European in your consumption of energy. More than 30 billion cubic meters of gas every year from Moscow. In your trade relationship, 1/3 of all of your trade goes to Russia. You are economically dependent on Russia, and that is a reality which you cannot change.
We can change that.
How?
Develop our resources. We have a lot of oil and gas in Ukraine. We have alternative energy resources.
Are you talking about the shale gas, which you seem to...
I talked about the shale gas. I talk about the wind and solar energy.
Yeah, if I may say so, you sound very excited, particularly about the shale gas. The Shell oil company just signed a big deal with the government in Ukraine to develop one potential field, and you said that in the long term you believe that Ukraine can become energy independent. Many experts do not believe that is ever going to be possible in your country.
It's possible. Nothing is impossible.
How on earth do you know? Shell have only got permission right now, at least in the first phase, to drill 15 exploratory wells. How do you know that they are going to discover enough shale gas and oil to make you energy independent?
We can be totally independent, but we have biggest resources of shale gas in Europe, one of the biggest.
You hope.
As experts told about that, exactly.
You want the shale gas production to expand as soon as possible. There are many local communities in your country where there is a great concern about the environmental damage that may be done.
Actually, we have to develop the gas in Ukraine, shale gas, but with new technology and with new ecological standards. It's very important, and I'm more than sure, we hope. It's all experts.
You hope?
We hope also, right?
Because you know.
Right now, it's our plans. It's long-term strategy for Ukraine to be energy independent from Russia.
Let's talk about the European Union. You say that you believe Ukraine's future does lie inside the key European institutions like the EU. What if the EU doesn't want Ukraine? Right now there is a discussion about this association agreement and a free trade agreement, but many members of the EU don't believe Ukraine is ready for the association agreement.
Some people told it's custom agreement better for us and told about the numbers, but if we think long strategy and it's for democratic values, for free market, I am more than sure European strategy, European future, it's future of Ukraine. And
you saw Angela Merkel recently, I think, at the end of last year at the CDU conference. What did she say to you? Do you think Germany, for example, really wants to push to bring Ukraine in to Europe?
Ukraine is very important geopolitically. Ukraine have huge Ukraine have big potential, and this potential doesn't work. And I am more than sure Ukraine is the future of Ukraine in the European family. And I speak with many leaders of European countries, and everybody has exactly the same vision. But to changes in Ukraine, for changes in Ukraine, responsible just Ukrainian citizen.
According to the opinion poll that I just saw, there are more Ukrainians who want to join the customs union with Moscow than actually want to join the association agreement with the EU. So you, yourself, seem to be out of tune with your own people.
If we talk about democratic standards, if we talk about competitive economic, if you high social standards talk, it's and think long term, European Union is our goal.
Let me come back to you personally as a politician. Your message to the Ukrainian public is that you are Mr. Clean, that you are against all corruption. That's a difficult thing to sell to the public when you come from a sport like boxing, isn't it? Which is a famously sleazy sport.
I'm almost signed 1996 professional, and we try to be always and was always clean in this sport and show sport can be different.
But you were not always Mr. Clean. You abused drugs. You were a drugs cheat.
Really?
Isn't that right? Illegal use of steroids.
It's true. It's 1995. I have a problem with my health, and the doctor who give me medication doesn't have full information about forbidden stuff in medication, and that's why I was disqualified for 1 year and
thrown out of the Olympic team.
And after we do it as sportsmen, we do it many times every year, the doping test, and always was clean, except this point in 1995.
What about money? Because, again, there are lots of allegations about corrupt money in Ukrainian politics. Every Ukrainian politician, and of course you are a leading politician now, is supposed to declare all of their assets and their income. I've just been looking a little bit at you. You declared in Ukraine your official MP salary, and also I think 4.7 million US dollars that you earned last year. But if one looks at the amount of money you've made from boxing, from TV, from promotions, from marketing, you must have made more than that.
You know exactly the numbers?
Well, I've been looking. They don't add up. They don't seem to add up.
I take money, invest the money, buy real estate.
Real estate?
Yeah.
How many properties do you own?
Not so many, but enough.
See, I mean,
how many properties? If I live in Germany, I buy for family the building, and I buy the building
right.
in Ukraine.
You see,
it's
again, there is a whole raft of speculation on the internet about how much you're worth, and some people say that you are worth 60, 70 million US dollars. But the truth is, nobody really knows.
Nobody really knows, but many people speculate about that.
Yeah, but the point is, you are now a politician. You are accountable to your voters. You're accountable to your nation. And you are campaigning against corruption. Do you not have a duty to come clean?
I have nothing to hide.
The question, I suppose, is this. Do you truly believe that you could clean up Ukraine? Because I just see it is now listed as something like the 140th country in the league table of all the nations for corruption. You're near the bottom with Bangladesh, with Cameroon, with Congo. Very corrupt nations. Can you seriously tell the Ukrainian people that you know how to clean this country up?
We're ready for that, and we know Ukraine needs reform. And main point, we have to destroy corruption. Without destroying corruption, we can make reform. And good example, I'm huge fan of Georgia. I was in Georgia last time, 2006. It's a very poor country. And after 6 years, I come again. I was very surprised how big changes can be in so short period of time. It's possible in so corrupted country to make changes. And Ukraine have much more potential as Georgia.
I sense the passion in your voice when you talk about cleaning up the corruption. Are you as committed now to your political career as you have been for the last 20 years to your boxing career? And does it mean that you will do everything in your power to win the presidency in 2015? Is that your ambition?
Right now, it's early to talk about that. President election will be 2015. It's more than 2 years.
Yeah, but you know boxing. You have to train for years for the fight. Are you now in training to become the next president of Ukraine? Is that what you want?
For me, it's very important, not the position. For me, it's very important to make changes in my country because I love Ukraine very much.
And that,
you asked me about the position. This position is maybe important, maybe not important, but right now we use every step to make changes. If will be important to be the president, let's see. It's a lot of time. It's too early to talk about that.
But from right now, it seems to me your commitment is politics, not boxing.
It's right. It's right.
Vitaly Klitschko, we'll end there. Thank you very much for being on Hard Talk.